These few Sundays in the first reading at Mass, we're hearing about the journey of God's people through the wilderness after their escape from Egypt. By this coming Sunday, this huge crowd with all their animals have arrived in Rephidim, close to Mount Sinai, and it must have been a wonderful sight and great to be part of it. The people had left in a hurry, carrying only the food for a few days. 40 years later, they were still walking. Things don't always work out according to plan. Some probably felt lost and abandoned, yet during those years in the wilderness, God never lost sight of them. He was forming them through all this time into a community of faith. The God of the Exodus is a God who carries his people on eagle's wings and sets them free. The people of God are always being called and being sent out. Generation after generation, we walk together along the path of life and often through the valley of darkness. That walking together is of crucial importance because that's how each of us is supported and encouraged in following our own personal vocation. In these days, Pope Francis has invited all of us to participate in a synodal process. The hope is that this process of walking together, listening to the Word of God and listening respectfully to one another can help us to become more fully the people God has called us to be. Even in the early stages of our synodal journey, we have already become more aware of the need to ensure that nobody is forgotten or left behind. This Sunday we celebrate the Day for Life, and we're invited to listen to the experience of women who either recently or many years ago took the lonely path that led to abortion. There are many thousands of women all over Ireland who, for various reasons, have had abortions. Many of them carry this painful knowledge locked in their own hearts. Society offers them abortion but seems to have very little interest in why they make that choice or in what happens to them afterwards. And there are men too who carry the pain or perhaps the guilt of being associated in some way with abortion. In the Day for Life message, Jane tells us the story of how when she was 15, she discovered that she was pregnant and the fear clouded everything. She had one aim, and that was to solve the problem. It was only afterwards that she realised that what seemed like a solution had led to a grief that she carried but was unable to share. In spite of a growing interest in faith, she could not bring herself to believe that the mercy of God was available to her. She was blessed to come across Rachel's Vineyard, a voluntary organisation which offers spiritual and pastoral support to women and men who, like herself, had been touched by abortion and were seeking healing. She plucked up the courage to go on a retreat they were offering, and there for the first time she was able to grieve for her child. This, she says, was the start of God turning the guilt, shame and unforgiveness into a deep love for my son, as any good mother would have. The healing was continuing alongside her faith journey. The thing that allowed her to take her own share of responsibility and to move on with her journey was the realisation that while she had felt lost, she had never been abandoned. The warmth of the support that she received from Rachel's Vineyard was the human channel of God's love and healing. If our walking together as church means anything at all, it must include women like Jane and embrace them. In order to hear what they want to say to us, we may need to adjust our pace and walk more closely with them. God's healing often comes through a family member, a neighbour, a friend who listens without judgment and who can accompany someone in finding the way to other supports that may be needed. God always seeks out the one who is lost or alone or in need of healing, but you may be the eagle whose wings he uses to carry someone to freedom and to himself.